What's up, and welcome to Me, You, and Switch 2. I'm me, Tom Tates, and you're you, so let's talk about Switch 2. This is your podcast for the latest Nintendo Switch 2 news. We're going to keep it short and sweet, 5 to 10 minutes long. I pour through hundreds of headlines, Blue Sky posts, and Reddit threads so that you don't have to. Today is Tuesday, July 22nd. I am back from vacation. I am behind my typical podcasting setup. If you listen to the past two episodes, I was recording on very cheap $5 headphones in a bathroom. So I am excited to be home. I did not bring my Switch 2. I did very little gaming, which was nice. But what I did play was a Japanese Game Boy game called The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls. This game was so good. It was developed by Nintendo and Intelligent Systems. It never officially made it to the US, but there is a great English translation. If you're looking for some retro gaming, definitely recommend this one. On the way home, I did pick up Donkey Kong Bananza, which has been out for about, 5 or 6 days now. It is getting very solid reviews. I've logged about 5 hours, and I am absolutely loving it. No spoilers. It is a refreshing shift from playing, just another 3D Mario game. I think Odyssey was the perfect game for that moment, but I have to say, roaming around the layers within Donkey Kong Bananza, climbing on everything, smashing everything, it is just pure fun. I'm having a blast. I want to say that Donkey Kong is probably the perfect game for this moment, and I'm glad we didn't have to wait until the holiday to play this one. I'm super excited that it's coming out when it is in the launch lifecycle for Switch 2. I might do a spoiler episode after I beat it, or at least get a little bit further. But for now, let's cover the news. A lot of outlets are covering a quote from a Guardian article with Donkey Kong Bananza's creators about how the original Mario and Donkey Kong creator played the game. So Kenta Motokura shared, "We had Miyamoto-san check the game occasionally, but instead of progressing through the game, he just stuck to one point, smashing and digging around a lot. It was a good thing to see him playing that way. It proved that there are a lot of things that players could potentially be curious about in the game." I love this quote. It is definitely that type of game, and it is interesting to see that was Miyamoto's playstyle. Not surprising, but definitely interesting. Last week, I shared that Super Mario Run, the mobile game, was getting a Donkey Kong Bananza crossover event, and now we have word that Mario Kart Tour, another mobile game, is getting 4 new karts and themed outfits for Mario and Luigi to celebrate the release of Mario Kart World. I honestly forgot that these mobile games were still in service. If anyone's playing them, I'm kind of curious if they're any good still. But more content is more content, so I will happily take that news. Speaking of more content, by the time you hear this, the July Pokemon Presents presentation will have already aired on YouTube. It is not aired yet as I'm recording it. I will have to cover that in a later episode if we receive new game announcements or any details on Z through A specific to the Switch 2 version. It's only about 24 minutes long, so they did release how long it's going to be. That feels a bit shorter than normal, so I'm curious how much they will pack into this one. In game news, a few outlets reported that many Switch 1 games like Endless Ocean Luminous, Crypt of the Necrodancer, Harvestella, and more received Switch 2 compatibility updates. This is probably the last time I'll share this type of news. I think we're going to see a lot of headlines like this. I'm anticipating it'll happen a lot over the next year as backwards compatibility kinks really start to get worked out on Switch 2. It's important to note, too, that this is not these Switch 1 games getting Switch 2 additions, like the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom upgrades. This is them just getting their existing versions on Switch 1 working on Switch 2. So not huge news here, but it is nice to see that developers are still working to get their games available on the latest console. Finally, we have a tasty rumor for Fire Emblem fans. Takeshi Moriyama, I hope I pronounced that right, a 3D character modeler, shared on his LinkedIn page that he had a brief contract earlier this year with Nintendo to work on an upcoming strategy RPG sequel for Nintendo Switch 2. While this could be anything, and honestly, it could be anything, it could be any franchise getting some strategy RPG treatment, most people on the internet are speculating that this is Fire Emblem. So maybe, hopefully, we will get official confirmation or preview at the next Nintendo Direct, which is still rumored to happen in July. And then one last recommendation before we sign off today. I frequently reference Digital Foundry. I'm just a big fan of their content, their videos on YouTube. They did a comparison video that looked at Switch 2 and Steamdeck OLED to see how they stack up. So for years, just get a Steam Deck, bro, has been a meme in the handheld community for handheld gamers. So it'll be interesting to see how Nintendo might eventually change that recommendation. In my opinion, it's not really apples to apples. They are two totally separate use cases for different types of gamers. So I think there's room for both a Steam Deck and a Switch 2. As a lifelong Nintendo gamer, there was no world where I didn't buy the Switch 2, right? So we'll put it that way. That's it for today. Hit me up on Blue Sky or Instagram. I'm at Switch2Pod. That's Switch with the number 2 pod on all the things. Switch2pod.com for all the links. If you're appreciating the show, a quick rating or review helps me continue to grow. Sharing with a friend or your favorite Reddit or Discord community definitely goes a long way too. Really appreciate that. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Much love. Now go play some games.